Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kenny Given Show. Tonight we are celebrating. Okay, welcome to the Kenny Given Show. Tonight we are celebrating USA 250. Come and join in the chat. You don't have to be a Donald Trump supporter. You can hate Donald Trump if you want. You don't even have to like America. Just give us your thoughts. It's all about free speech. That's what America stands for. And that's what I stand for on this show. I'm getting a little bit of an echo because I have the okay, click on the StreamYard link in the chat. Let me just send this, share this on X login. We are celebrating the 4th of July and America's 250th anniversary. Come and join in the chat. Even if you hate America, come and vent. Come and tell us what you think you would do differently if you were the American president. Doesn't have to be about politics. We can talk about American music, your favorite American films, American culture, your American travel stories. Come and join in. Blessings, Frank, Monday. Hi, Daniela. Now, I might be disappointed here, guys, because I only have 380 subscribers so far. And I never paid to promote this video. So I'm just kind of using this to get to grips with the basics and see how things go. It's an experimental thing. I'll be happy even if I just have one or two guests on the show. I will keep the stream open for 1 hour. And if nobody comes on after that, and during that time between now, I will turn my camera off because I'm not going to just sit like this waiting on people. But most of you know that I am a Donald Trump supporter. But I'm not going to make tonight about partisan politics. So Danielle's asking, hi, Kenny Trump tard. Come on, Jeeps. Come in and join the chat. Tell us your thoughts. Tell us what you hate about Donald Trump, if you so wish. When did you become a big fan of the USA? Well, Daniela, that would have been when I was a kid, with all the 80s movies that were out. You know, I was a big fan of films like Back to the Future, The Blues Brothers, the comedies with Tom Hanks and Steve Martin, and the way some of these films were filmed by great cinematographers. They had the beautiful scenery and the New York skyline, and you know, the place just looked incredible. You know, obviously Rocky, loved that film when I was a kid. Features the American flag in it. The Gremlins, I was a big fan of the Gremlins when I was a kid as well. You know, so yeah, come on and have a chat. So I'm going to reread the speech that I read on Jack Talcott's show last night. just to, give you an idea of what one of the things that I like about America and their can-do attitude. So let me get it up. 250th anniversary speech. Okay, so I read out this speech on the perspective as if I was the American president. So I'm going to do that again because I like to live out my fantasy, you know. My fellow Americans, today we gather on this magnificent national mall in the heart of our nation's capital to celebrate the most profound milestone in the history of our republic and indeed the world. Exactly 250 years ago, 56 courageous patriots gathered in Philadelphia. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to forge a new nation. On that day, they declared a profound and eternal truth that our rights do not come from the decrees of a monarch or the mandates of a government. They come directly from our Creator in heaven, and no earthly power can take them away. With the writing of the Declaration of Independence, America began the most extraordinary journey in human history. The path was not easy. Against the greatest empire of the age, the British Empire, General George Washington and his Continental Army faced bitter winters, crushing poverty, and impossible odds. But they possessed an unbreakable American spirit. They did not yield. They fought, they endured, and they secured the ultimate victory for human freedom. From that glorious day in 1776, the American people have crossed oceans, settled a vast and untamed continent, revolutionized industry, built the most spectacular cities, and lifted millions out of poverty. We dug the canals, we laid the railroads, we cured diseases, and we placed the American flag on the surface of the moon. We are a nation of pioneers, builders, and heroes. To honor the sacrifice of our ancestors, we have a solemn obligation to ensure that America remains forever strong. Today we stand as the most powerful nation on earth. We have completely rebuilt the United States military, ensuring that our armed forces remain the supreme defenders of peace and liberty. We have established the Space Force to secure our future in the stars, and we have fortified our nation against all threats, foreign and domestic. Yet as we celebrate this sacred anniversary, we must also resolve to defend the legacy of 1776 from those who seek to tear it down. We face ideological movements that seek to erase our heritage, rewrite our history, and demand that we apologize for America's greatness. Let me be clear, we will never apologize for the United States of America. We will protect our monuments, we will honor our past, and we will defend our culture. We revere the genius of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and the countless Americans who gave their lives to preserve this public. We will teach our children to love their country, to respect our history, and to always proudly salute the American flag. We are a nation that respects our past and boldly embraces our future. We have secured our borders, achieved unprecedented energy independence, and restored the true sovereignty of our nation. By putting America first, we are preserving the exact liberties that our founders risked everything to establish 2.5 centuries ago. To every citizen celebrating today, whether you're here in Washington or watching from your homes across this vast and beautiful land, this historic milestone belongs to you. It belongs to the hardworking families, the farmers, the factory workers, and the brave men and women of our law enforcement and the military who keep us safe. Tonight, as the skies above our capital are illuminated in a grand and unprecedented tribute to this nation, let us look to the heavens with immense gratitude. Let us remember the heroes who built this country, and let us pledge, here and now, that the American dream will thrive for the next 250 years and long beyond. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Happy 250th birthday. There we are. Let me have a look at some of the comments here. Okay. Deep says, I don't hate any of them. They're acting on TV, but the masses take seriously, that's all. There are smarter people behind the scenes creating policies, smarter and diabolical. Daniela has a cat named after Gizmo. Yeah, lovely. Free speech is going down the pan over here. You're correct, Daniela. You know, here in the UK, annually there's upwards of 10,000 people who have been given custodial sentences for tweets, Facebook comments, and you know, it's like in Russia, it's been less than 3,000. 20 years ago, that would be unthinkable that we have less free speech than in Russia in some respects. We have more free speech than in Russia in other respects, like you're actually allowed to create an opposition political party and challenge the current sitting prime minister. In Russia, you can't. You get poisoned or killed and jailed and beaten up by the Vladimir Putin's Stasi. Okay, so what I'm going to do just now is I'm going to turn my camera off and I'm going to wait for other people to join in the chat, come into the studio. I'll keep it open until 11, and if nobody's coming by then I shall just stop the stream. So I look forward to seeing. Oh, Frank. How do I get you on here? Add to stage. There we are. Frank Maloney, welcome to the Kenny Given Show. You are my first guest, brother. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, Kenny. Like you, I'm proud of the American dream, and I'm a Los Angeles-born American from California. I'm currently living in China as an ambassador of the American people. I teach English at a private high school here, and I've been over here for going on 30 years now, 26 years, spreading the message of freedom and liberty to all the people of China that I come across.
Thank you, Frank. That's fantastic. Can I ask what made you decide to move to China?
Wow, yeah, it's a long path and an interesting question. I'll give you the brief. Growing up in LA, I wanted to explore other cultures, and so I went around the boroughs or the hoods or whatever, and I got beat up pretty much everywhere I went. If I went into a black hood, I got beat up. If I went into a Mexican hood, I got beat up. If I went
Yeah.
into any of the other hoods, but when I went into Chinatown, there was a different feeling there. There was a feeling
Yeah.
of culture and education and calmness. And
Mhm.
my father actually reinforced my interest in the Chinese culture. And he said, among the cultures, if that's what you want to do, then he said the Chinese have some wisdom to offer. And so he encouraged it. He took me to Chinatown, and, Chinese restaurants, put me in kung fu schools, this kind of thing. And just at a very young age, it became a passion of mine to come to China for their culture, to
That's
study it.
fantastic. We have a Chinatown here in London as well, and one thing I will say about the Chinese, although they're very racist behind your back, they have a very polite front, you know?
Oh, they
And the
they have.
atmosphere in amongst them is, for that reason, peaceful and calm. And you never really hear of Chinese gangs going around and beating the shit out. I know you have like triad gangs in different parts of America, but that was mostly decades ago. I don't know if they're that much of a big thing now,
Right. They're
but
very much
Chinese
a
people,
homo
on all in all, they're some of the loveliest people you could ever meet
yeah,
to your
but you did
face.
point it out. They're a very, very homogenous people, and they don't like to cross mix very much. So yeah, that is a
Yeah,
part of that is an aspect that keeps their society stable.
yeah,
I wanted
that's
to
great.
deviate a bit if I could. Um, in
Absolutely.
celebr
Yeah.
yeah, in celebration of Freedom 250, we've got the American national anthem. I'm sure you're probably familiar with it, but the one I actually grew up was called America the Beautiful, and it's by
Yeah.
Catherine Lee Bates. Are you familiar with that
Mhm.
one? Yeah, and Bates
It's
inspired
a
for
beautiful.
writing.
It really is a beautiful song. Elvis Presley sung that song as well. He covered it.
I think you're right. I believe you did. So
And
Bates was inspired for writing it near Pikes Peak, Colorado, when she was teaching at Colorado College in 1893. She said one day, her and some other teachers decided to go up to Pikes Peak, which is a 14,000-foot mountain. They hired a prairie wagon, and near the top, they had to leave the wagon and go the rest of the way on mules. She was very tired when she got there, but when she saw the view, she felt great joy. All the wonder of America seemed displayed there from the top of the Colorado mountain, like the sea expanses and the plains and everything. And it was first published in the Congressionalists to commemorate the 4th of July in 1895. Later, it became popular. It was popularized by Charlie Rich and hit number 22 on the Hot Country Songs of 1976.
yeah,
So, if you'll allow it,
that's
Kenny,
great.
I'd like to sing the first verse, if I may.
Yes, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. I don't have quite the succulent sonorous tones that you do, but I'll give it my best go. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above thy fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. And that puts on full display there that I obviously have no
Bravo.
training in music.
That was
No
good. Thank
training
you.
whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you. I
you said you
appreciate you.
went to a Chinese kung fu school. Which style of kung fu did you do? I used to do
Um,
Wing Chun when I was in Edinburgh.
Oh, very good, very good. Yeah, Wing Chun is an internal Chinese style. We have what we call internal and external systems of martial arts in China. Wing Chun is among the internal styles, so that's very good. Where you focus
Yeah,
more on the internal power manifesting through mechanics and soft whipping with hardness at the end,
yeah,
as opposed to most styles are very external. They're very outwardly aggressive. Like Shaolin would be considered external. I also studied internal styles. There's a three tier system in the internal arts of the North. It's Shini, Bagua, and Taiji. So a lot of people, yeah, a lot of people endeavor to study Taiji, but Taiji is actually the culmination of the combination of Xingyi and Bagua. Xingyi is linear and Bagua is circular. And when you combine the two, you get what is called the
Right.
Grand Ultimate Fist or Taiji
Yeah.
Chuan.
And a lot of people have a concern about China that it's a totalitarian, authoritarian state with a social, they have like a social credit system, but I think that's been kind of blown out of proportion a little bit, and it's not as bad as what people are making out. Could you give us some uh, background and a bit more detail about China's, you know, the lack of, let's say, civil liberties with regards to the surveillance state and the social credit system? How's it been for you, and how do you compare it to when you lived in Los Angeles?
Yeah, and I go home quite often. If I don't go home every year, I go home every couple of years and spend sometimes so, a lot of time. Like I went home in 2017, spent 6 months. I went home in 2019, spent 6 months. 2023, I spent about 5 months in California. So I do go home routinely to spend time with my family. I mean my American family. Uh, yeah, that's a broad-reaching question to comment on it. I try to avoid too much because it is their society and I am a guest here. But yeah, I would say the surveillance state is 100%. When I first got here, they were endeavoring to cover Beijing in 100% audio and video coverage in HD. So they were putting in high-powered cameras everywhere, every street corner. If you go to an intersection, you'll see anywhere from 20 to 50 to 100 cameras. You know, there's cameras everywhere. You walk into the subway,
You're saying they
there's
have microphones as well that can pick up your
mm,
voice.
yeah,
Right.
boom mics. So they get everything, all sound. Like, I mean, they probably can hear me right now, all sound and video. And I think the only aspect they said that it wouldn't necessarily be penetrating into was your private space, like your apartment or something. But other than that, they sought for like 100% coverage within like 10 years, I think, what they were trying to do it. So it's probably near or at that point now, like here in Beijing, the capital. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Um, it's very subtle though, like it's overt display of surveillance, but it's a subtle kind of insidious aspect of the credit score. It's not, they don't overtly talk about it or tell people it. It's not something you can actually find out about on yourself, but I do believe that it's something that
It's the
is
oldest
is
civilization
real.
that still exists, isn't it?
Yeah,
China.
it is. And it
Yeah.
has the oldest contiguous language, basically without interruption, from the Shang Dynasty, which is about 3000 BC, till now. The characters really haven't changed that much. I studied Chinese at university, not as my major, but as a just foreign language. I did 6 years in the U.S. before I moved here, and then I studied in a postgraduate program at Tsinghua University for an additional 3 years. And my I endeavored to study the ancient Chinese language, like the pictographs from the bone oracles and poetry as well. So I did learn something about their language.
Fantastic. And how are you accepted as an American by the Chinese people in China? Have they
Oh,
warmed you to their hearts?
it goes through cycles. Like the Chinese actually, they have a very ancient tradition of honoring fair skin, and so women with fair skin and like they say bi or hey, white or black, and so they talk about this in and of themselves, right? Like if obviously from a Western perspective, we would think of them as yellow, right? But they don't say that in and of themselves in their own language. They call each other either white or black, meaning dark. And so bai is typically associated with like royalty and cultivation and refinement and having, like they truly believe in struggling for many generations to climb from the lower echelons into the upper echelons. And throughout their legends and history, there have been people that have done that, gone from a poor farmer to a government official and then this type of thing. Anyway, as a Westerner, having, being a white guy, um, a lot of like people with education will see that as me being of superior stock somehow. And
Yeah.
you kind of had alluded to it a little bit earlier about their a deep-seated intrinsic kind of racial discrepancy, maybe. I'm not going to call it racism per se.
Yeah. Well, thank you for
Uh,
sharing
and
that with us, Frank. And
and the reason and the
what about
reason the
is
darker
there like a
Go ahead.
group of Americans that you in China where you live that you frequently get together with, and yeah,
Yeah,
and is there no Fourth of July celebration in China just now?
not today, but we already had a celebration. Yeah, when I first came over here, I endeavored to separate myself entirely from American influence and just learn the Chinese thing because I wanted to master the language and figure out what they were doing, understand their culture. So I spent about 10 years without any foreign
Right.
friends and just
Hmm.
endeavoring to integrate into their society and learn their ways and customs. But later on, when I'm married and I have children, I wanted my children to be, to have to know that they're American, because being an
Which part of
American,
China
even
is it you're in, if you don't mind me
I'm in
asking?
the I'm in the north. It's Peking, Beijing. Used to be called Peking.
Beijing. Right.
Yeah, Beijing.
Right. And
So yeah, now
what's the
I'm
mood on
more
the street in China with regards to China's current relationship with the Trump administration? Do most people in China hate Donald Trump, or are they kind of neutral, or do they like him?
no, it's varied. But to answer your first question and better, I have connected with the embassy since I started a family, and I worked as a Boy Scout leader for about 10 years, and I work very closely with the
In
U.S.
China?
Embassy to do that. Yeah, in China, the U.S. Embassy, and so
Okay.
we had a
So you
free
you
we had
currently you currently work with the American embassy in China,
no, just as a citizen, I participate in their activities, but I
right?
volunteer for the Boy Scouts, if you're familiar.
Okay. So do you think that would maybe put a red marker on you as far as the Chinese authorities are concerned when it comes to their surveillance and you maybe being a
I don't
spy or
care.
some? No?
I'm a fiercely American patriot, and I've lost jobs because of professing faith in God and faith in the American dream and this kind of thing. Um, so it's you could take the boy out of America, but you can't take the America out of the boy. Um, I'm not going to
Of
self-censor
course.
so much that I feel like I
That's
lose my
like me in
dignity.
Scotland. I live in London now, but when people call me, like foreigners try and call me English, and I say, no, I'm Scottish. They'll say, well, it's the same thing. And I'm like, no, it's not. We're two
No.
different countries inside the United Kingdom, you know?
Yeah, I would
But that only
resonate with
ever
that too
comes from
because
people who have never been to Scotland before, so they didn't really understand.
okay, I would resonate with that
Yeah.
because my mother's side of the family is Appalachian Irish, and so they were all known as Scotch Irish. And of the descendants in the
Ul-
United States, up
Ulster
until
Scots, yeah. They were Ulster
yeah,
Scots, most of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
so up until recently in the United States, and we have lots of Scotch Irish names on my mother's side of the family, but up until recently, the United States, approximately 75 million descendants are Scots Irish, and about 150 million are German or Germanic. So the United States was built by Germans and Scotch Irish. I mean, that's the 75% of the population was that stock from Europe.
Right. I've never been to China before, but I would like to
Okay.
visit. Some parts look really lovely, but I like Chinese food. So,
Well,
do you
it's
see
kind of a
yourself
thing.
as an American living in China for the rest of your life, or does some part of you want to go back and move to the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Yeah, I've always intended to go home. I intended to stay here a long time, and I intended to fulfill my dream of learning the Chinese language to an extent that I was fluent, right? That took me about 15 years to get to a level where I felt comfortable. Now I've spent an additional
That's
decade because
the Mandarin language,
Mandarin.
right?
Yeah, I
Could
speak
you
some
give us
Cantonese
a few
and
sentences just to?
Hokkien as well. Let's see. Wow, that's kind of off the cuff. Yeah, I'll do a bit of poetry for you, and it will answer your
Sure.
question too for me coming home. So it's a good one.
So
Tong
if you've
Poem
just
by Li
joined
Bai.
us, this is Frank Monday, who's a proud American patriot. He's lived in China for the last over 20 years, and he's going to give us a demonstration of how fluent he is in Mandarin. Take it away, Frank.
Okay, this is by Li Bai. He's a very famous poet of the Tang Dynasty, and he wrote Wandering Too Far from Home. And it goes like this. 少小离家老大回，声音无盖鬓毛衰。儿童相见不相识，下问客从何处来？ So, as a rough translation, the old guy left home when he was young.
Sounded
He
very, very fluent indeed.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I
Yeah,
thought,
so
I
he
thought I
wandered.
was watching one of the Bruce Lee B movies, you know, Way of the Dragon or
Yeah.
something.
Oh.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, so there's a
Really
big difference
difficult
between.
language to learn.
Yeah, there's a
You know,
big
I've not even
difference too. Like
attempted it in my life.
I studied for 6 years at university before I came over, and there's a big difference between educated language and the everyday man's language. Like it took me a long time to be able to understand commoners when I spent so much time at university because they actually speak a lot of different dialects and they speak with different what they call fangyan or regional accents. And the local one, even Beijing, is very strong Beijing. And I have a very strong Beijing accent now. But I actually learned in the US, I learned from my teacher was from Taiwan, and they have a very different accent. So that added additional hardship to learning it. But yeah.
We have a new guest that's entered the studio. Mike Graham of the Independent Republic of Mike Graham. I never thought you would come on, Mike, but you look like you're at the back of a bus or something. You're reliving your childhood.
I am.
What are you doing at the back of a bus?
I am in the back of a bus. I thought you'd appreciate me being a man of the people and all that, you know.
Yeah.
I know. I know you thought I'd never do this, but that's why I'm doing it. I like surprising you.
Fantastic. So, Mike, you lived in America for a long time. You had your own news company when you were in New York. You have family in America.
Some of them
you go there quite often.
I do.
Tell me, why is America such a great country and the ideals that it represents? Going back to when it was founded, when it beat British imperialism. And obviously it's had its darker ages as well, with slavery and other things, and reckless wars in the Middle East. But I'm trying to make this show more about America that transcends politics. I'm not going to make it too partisan, like Democrats versus Republicans, or bum up Donald Trump too much. But tell us your experience and what you love about America as a country.
Well, you know, I wrote a piece today actually about it, and about how on the 250th anniversary of independence for America, why it was a great deal for them, but not such a great deal for us.
Did you tweet that onto your X profile?
It's on my Substack, so
I
you
didn't
can only
have
read
Substack.
it if you sign up to my Substack, I'm afraid. But I'll talk about it on Monday.
All right, you can tell us about it here.
Yeah. So what I said was that, you know, imagine if it hadn't happened, and that's when it starts to get interesting. Because if you said, if you look at the way America is right now, and if it was still run by Britain, and particularly Starmer, how awful would it be? The defences would be completely depleted. They wouldn't have any ability to fight Iran or go to war with anyone. They wouldn't be able to in any way stand up to Russia or China, because we'd have no defence at all. You'd have.
It would have a lot more Muslims in there as well. You
would have an awful lot of immigrants who would not have previously been stopped to get in there by Donald Trump. You now have, you know, kind of, you know, mass immigration ruining the entire country. You would have no economy. You would have no businesses. You'd have businesses closing down. Americans would not stand for that. In this country,
you'd have less free speech as well. You know, America really big on their First Amendment.
Are you going to tell me what I wrote, or are you going to let me tell you what I wrote? You know, that's what I'm saying. So all of those, there's like 5 pillars. I know that you like 5 pillars, don't you? 5 pillars of what I call America are free speech, a good economy, a fantastic defense policy, a brilliant ability to be nationalistic and to not be frightened of being nationalistic, and also to run businesses in a way that people actually appreciate that you make money. In this country now, you can't make money. People think you're doing something wrong. And the great thing about America is that when I moved there in the 80s, I came from a country like Britain, which was on its knees economically. You couldn't do anything. Nobody could make any money. And when I went there, it was like nirvana to me. I was like, people in America actually like you making money. They appreciate it if you make money, and they're quite happy for you to pay taxes. But they'd rather you made money in order to spend the money in the places that you want to spend it in. And that's for me, that's the big difference between even conservative governments in Britain are less libertarian than America. And I think America, people who live there, and like you say, my family live there, they understand that individuals should have the right to be individuals. And that's the most important thing, I think, about America.
Yeah, and you win at the right time. The
Into
80s was the
America.
golden era.
Say again, Frank?
Oh, I said he went at the right time. The 1980s was the golden era.
Ronald Reagan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was Ronald Reagan that originally coined the term "Make America Great Again." That's where that phrase comes from. It was Reagan that used it.
He used to refer to America as the whited golden sepulchre on the hill, which it was, because it was the great kind of savior of capitalism, and people went there to make their fortune, and they made their fortune. If you come to Britain now to make your fortune, you just get taxed into oblivion, and you end up leaving.
You're doing quite well, Mike. You've no left. You're getting taxed.
I've done okay.
What's going on there?
Well, I've done okay because I've worked hard. I've made money. I've employed people.
Yeah.
I'm talented. I'm good at what I do. And I'm old now. You know, I'm 65 years old. But I'll tell you what, if this government gets any worse, and if these people try and take more tax off me, I'm going to leave. And I wouldn't have no qualms about leaving. You know, I haven't just been lucky. I've been good at what I did. I've built businesses. I've employed people. And I've created income for the government. Do you know, at my height, when I was getting paid an awful lot of money by News UK to do my show, I was paying in VAT alone £250,000 a year to the government. Right? That was their charge. That was their charge on my business. I didn't make any money out of that. They weren't taxing me on income. They were taxing me on VAT, value-added tax, on what I was charging people to work for them. So over 4 years, I paid £1 million to this government, or to whatever the government was before.
Yeah.
And I got nothing out of it. What the fuck is that all about? Sorry to swear.
No, you're welcome to swear on here. It really is. I constantly hear people like yourself and Julia Hartley-Brewer and Jeremy Kyle saying that we're currently the most taxed since World War II. You know, and they're introducing taxes for new things like the green energy levies, a lot of other stuff as well. You know,
sounds like California
right now. In this country, is government's too big. There's too many people working in government. 73% increase in civil service. Civil service jobs have gone up 73% in 10 years. Right, billions and billions of pounds. The state is getting bigger. The state is getting bigger and bigger. And it's driving good, by the way. The state is getting bigger and bigger. We're being asked to pay more and more money to make sure the state can continue to get bigger, only so that it can take money off us. It's ridiculous. It's insane. It's insane.
Obviously, we have Nigel Farage and Reform UK, and they're currently the favourites to form the next government. Nigel Farage is a good friend of Donald Trump's. How do you think Reform UK will help ease the current tax burden in the UK? Do you think they'll make really that much of a difference?
Well, they say they will, and they've set themselves out as the party that will recognise business and recognise entrepreneurialism and recognise people who want to make money, and they won't punish them. And I think that would be good. But at the moment, they're all trying to assassinate Nigel Farage massively. They're trying to make out that he's a bad guy, He's got too much money. He's got too many houses. He's got too many, friends that donate money to him. I don't understand why they're trying to kill him. But you
I
and I
think
both
Nigel
know why.
Farage would be a good choice for you guys. If I may, real quick
Yeah,
about government,
well, I'm a member of Reform UK.
George Washington
No,
said
as a
government
candidate,
is
just as a paying member.
yeah.
But
So
Mike, let me introduce you to Frank
go.
here. Frank.
Hey, Frank.
Frank lived in California for a long, long time, but he kept getting beat up by gangs for different ethnic groups. So
Yeah.
he's now lived in China for the last 20 years.
Really?
And he's fluent in Mandarin. Yeah, Frank, go ahead. Meet Mike Graham of
Hey,
the
Frank.
Independent Republic of Mike Graham.
Mike, good to meet you. I'm curious, when you moved to the States in the 80s, where did you live?
Yeah.
Florida
I
or
lived in New York
California?
City. No, I
New
lived in
York
New York
City.
City. But I
Okay,
travelled all over, basically.
nice. Yeah, my father's from New York, so I have a little familiarity with it.
Nah.
At one time, it was known as the greatest city on earth. That in Pittsburgh. I was going to
Been
offer
to Orlando, Florida once when I was 12 years old, and I loved it.
You went to
But I
Florida,
want to
yeah.
go back.
Alligators. Yeah, watch out for the alligators.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I lived in New York, but I went to Florida, I went to LA quite a lot, I went to Texas a lot, went to Minneapolis.
Okay.
I covered the Jeffrey Dahmer trial in Milwaukee.
Oh, wow.
I went to Detroit quite a lot, I went to Chicago a lot. I was all over. I was a journalist for Fleet Street newspapers, so I had a pretty good view of what was going on in America, and I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, I was going to say about you guys were
Now.
discussing
Sorry about
government a
that. I
moment
couldn't hear. I
ago.
wasn't sure if people on the bus would start
No
giving me
worries.
shit for having opinions. Because what it's like in Britain now. You can't be fucking sure. But listen, no.
You're currently in London, Mike.
Hey, I'm currently in London. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm walking home now. I'm gonna hopefully not have my phone fucking stolen as I'm holding it in front of me. But listen, we are the last of the vanguard, is what I would say to you. Like I say, 80s America under Ronald Reagan was brilliant. For me, that was the ultimate economic kind of model where people, Ronald Reagan used to say, the worst statement you can ever hear is from somebody turning up going, I'm from the government and I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Because people don't want the government in their lives. I don't want them to tell me what to eat. I don't want to tell me who to have sex with. I don't want to tell me, what I should be doing with my car, whether I should have an electric, fuck off. Just don't tell me what to do. That's all I want from government. Right?
Yeah.
And right now in Britain, we have got the worst, most authoritarian government we've ever had, I think.
Right. It's terrible.
It's
just
awful.
telling Frank earlier on, every year for the last few years in the UK, you've had over 10,000 people chucked in jail for Facebook comments, tweets.
Yeah.
In Russia, it's like less than 3,000 a year.
Yeah,
that would have been unthinkable 20 years ago.
That's what I was going to say is that
Sorry.
Government is not the answer. George Washington said, government is not reason. It's not eloquence. It is force. And like fire, it is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. So government's definitely not the answer we need for the world's situation.
No, it really isn't.
Smaller
That's very
government.
eloquent. You put that very eloquently, and I agree with you. It's, these people are not clever. They're not smart. Most of them now are managerial class, lanyard class, people who would otherwise be working in a university. They're not smart. They're not innovative. They don't have any ideas. All they know how to do is to say, you can't do that.
And maintain the status quo.
They don't have any kind of, they have nothing to bring to the party, if you know what I mean. They have no, interesting ideas. They don't know how to fix the economy. They don't know how to fix the country. And we are now basically in the shit, big time.
Correct. Mike, what's your assessment of Donald Trump's economic plan with his tariffs? That he's now
I think the tariffs are great. I think Donald Trump has proven that the tariff system, which was completely and utterly denounced by the European Union and denounced by that idiot Keir Starmer, who thank God is no longer going to be our prime minister. I think tariffs work. Donald Trump has proven that tariffs work. End of story. and he puts a
There
little
are some
squeeze on
counter
somebody.
arguments online as if they've actually really worked or not. You know, maybe it was written by some Trump hating lefty, but some sources said that the tariffs failed to bring back manufacturing to America.
Well, there's only one place that has no manufacturing in this world, and that's Britain. We
Right.
literally don't manufacture anything. We used to have millions of people engaged in manufacturing, and now we have none.
Uh-huh.
You know, literally, we don't make anything.
And Mike,
Just walking past the dog. Sorry.
say for example, if you were the president of the United States of America,
Mm.
what would you do differently that Donald Trump is currently doing?
I don't think I would do anything differently. I think Donald Trump is an incredible guy. I think he has made the occasional misstep because he's very unusual in his approach, shall we say, to politics. And I think he can be a bit petty sometimes, and he can be a little bit too sensitive to people criticizing him. But overall, I think his instincts are right, you know? His instincts are correct. He wants to do what's good for America, and he might want to put his name on everything, and he might want to be a bit too, shall we say, conceited about what America remembers him for. But I don't think I would say that he did terribly much wrong. I mean, people now, it's fashionable now to say that, you know, the MAGA movement is dead. They've all given up on him. He's gone a bit mad. You know, he's coming up to the midterms. He's going to lose them all, and he fucked up in Iran and all of that. You know, take your pick of the criticisms. Overall, I would say, if you were going to judge Donald Trump's kind of time in office, I would say 7 out of 10, which is a fucking lot bigger than anybody else that's been there for a long time.
That's a fair assessment. But what do you think? I was listening to, is it Marjorie Taylor Greene, who used to be a big supporter of his? She was on Piers Morgan a few nights ago.
Yeah,
and she said that she and Tucker Carlson both left for a couple of reasons. One of them is because he wasn't doing enough for the Epstein files, and the criticism of the Iran war as well was another reason. What's your assessment of Donald Trump and the Epstein files? Because some people say the reason he's not releasing too much of them is because he was in them, he was on the island, but just because you were in the island or on the files doesn't mean that you actually done anything wrong.
No.
Donald Trump banned Jeffrey Epstein from Mar-a-Lago when he found out that he was a nonce.
There's no question, right, that if Trump had done anything wrong with Epstein, that would have come out by now. Because
you think so, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, he may well have been there. He may well have, you know, been unwise to know the guy, but the guy was clearly very much what you might call a Svengali figure, all over the place. He knew everybody. His whole raison d'etre, Epstein, was to put people together, to talk to people, to know people, to introduce them to other people. I think if Trump had done anything terrible, there's an awful lot of crap on social media, on the internet, about his supposed role, you know, to the point where there's some fakery going on. I really don't believe that Trump was involved in any kind of pedophile type behavior. I think
accusations do not amount to guilt. People can accuse you of anything.
I don't think so either.
People accuse me of shit all the time, and I'm not Donald Trump. And they're all crap, you know. So I don't think that's an issue really at all. I think Trump should go down in history as one of the most incredible presidents they've ever had. You might not like what he did, but he certainly changed the shape of the nation, and he shook it up a bit, you know. So I would say we should be glad that Trump did what he did, and
I would
people, you know what it's like. People either love Trump or hate him. And if you hate him,
I would add that he's almost made it safe enough for me to come home.
Yeah, I mean, you know, good one. What, you know, do you think that's possible?
I do. I think if he had another 4 years, I'd be ready to pack up and head home. But we got to see what's going to happen after his term is finished. If JD Vance gets in, I think it will be a celebration of Frank Monday's return to the great land of the free.
I think it's
Yeah, I mean,
Marco Rubio that's the favourite to take
I
over
don't
from
see the
Donald Trump.
Democrats recovering at all. Right? I just don't.
Say that again, Mike. You don't think the Democrats will recover again, no?
No, I don't think they will. I think they're finished. You know, the best
Yeah,
they
they
can
didn't
do
seem
now
to have
is
any real charismatic figures.
well, they've still got Kamala Harris as a possible, presidential
AOC.
candidate. Are you fucking joking? You know,
Gavin
she's
Gruesome.
hopeless. Absolutely unbelievable. Anyway, listen, I'm gonna have to go because I've got home now. So I'm sorry
Right.
to cut you short.
One last thing I want to say to you:
Go on.
I am a bit suspect of you. You're wearing a flowery Hawaiian shirt, and it was the Pride March in central London today. Is that where you
It's
came
true.
from?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was there getting my ass bummed. Yeah, that's because that's what I like to do in my spare time. No,
I always
I've never
thought
been
that
to a
about you.
Pride.
Oh,
I've never been to a Pride march. I'm never fucking going to one either.
I'm
I'd have
joking,
them all
mate.
Yeah, you're
I
rounded
am
up.
joking.
I'd have them all rounded up and shot.
You're
Well,
looking
Mike,
very
Don't tell anybody else.
do you know
M16.
what? I couldn't have
MI6.
asked for a better first show. I know it's still small, and I've only got 380 subscribers, but I'm going to try and grow it
No, listen,
over the
Kenny.
years.
Listen, I've known Kenny for many years. He used to come on my show when I was in Scotland, Talk 107, 20 years ago. And you haven't aged, by the way. I don't know what you fucking. I don't know what you're taking and rubbing on your face, but you don't look a day older than you did 20 years ago. So
Well,
anyway,
they say that aging.
I'm happy I was able to join you, and I'm going to
It's
go and
probably
watch the
because I
rest of the
stopped
French game
drinking
now.
16 years ago. Yeah, I'll be watching.
That's
I'll be
true.
watching the French game, of course. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to go
I'll
watch
be
the French
watching
game.
that. Mike, lovely
So,
to see you, mate.
listen, good to see you, man.
And thank you so much for
Good to meet you,
blessing
Mike.
my show, my first show.
And nice to meet you.
I can't
And
thank
listen-
you enough.
Yeah, no, not at all. See you later, man. Good luck.
Have a great one.
See you later.
Cheers. That was Mike Graham of the Independent Republic of Mike Graham. He has his own YouTube channel. He's a big radio host. He's independent now. If you pop over his YouTube channel, just key in Mike Graham on YouTube, and he's also on X as well. Thank you very much, Mike, for coming on. So we've got about another 5 minutes before I wrap up. I only want to make it 1 hour for the time being. Frank, is there anything you would like to add? Is there anyone else in the chat that would like to come on?
Yeah, I'd like to add, you'd asked me earlier about the Chinese sentiment towards Trump, and I would say it's changed over time. During the run up to his first term, a lot of people were actually quite excited by the Americana of the thing, and they were proud that a person was coming up in the running that was willing to say what was on his mind, kind of off the cuff statements, and they found it very entertaining. And they put him on a level with their own president here. Well, they call him a president, right? In the manner of candor and power. And they pushed Biden around quite a bit. And we all know that he did quite a bit of business here, the Biden family did. But they
In
they they
China,
like, yeah, in China.
right?
They liked Clinton, they liked the Bush family, and they liked the Trump
And you say
family.
they liked them. Who's they?
The general sentiment of the people, and obviously that's a vast
In
generalization.
China,
Yeah, in China, the Chinese
right? Okay,
people,
right.
they respect his candor and his willingness to challenge China directly in terms of tariffs and stuff like that. They found it very refreshing.
Well, Clinton, you're talking about how they liked Clinton or Trump?
Trump.
Trump.
Uh,
Okay, right. Okay, right. Yeah,
and
that's good. That's good to know.
over
That's
time, the
good to know.
sentiment has shifted. When he came here,
Yeah.
they shut down the entire city. He was just here recently. He came in 2017. I was here for that in his first term,
Yeah.
and I actually saw his helicopter. Um, for the second visit, he was like actually like 2 blocks from my backyard. So um, I've been spiritually attuned to the movement from the beginning, and I've had prophetic dreams about him while he's been in office. And nothing I'm really willing to share. It's not anything I talk about because in the tradition of Tao that I follow, like these types of spiritual or moments of high strangeness, they're better not spoken about because it kind of detracts from their own value to the individual. But yeah, there's been quite a few indicators to me that he was the right man for the job. Everybody opposed him. Everyone in my family, in fact, when I voiced my support during his first run for the presidential campaign, a lot of people cut ties with me. And that shows you the difference between the left and the right. You know, like on the right, we're willing to tolerate whoever their choices and whatever their choices are. And I'm not going to divide myself left or
It's
the
the
right. I
same.
think
It's
that
the same here in the UK. Do you know? I still see. I use a dating app called Tinder, and I still see profiles that say Brexiteers, someone who voted for Brexit, swipe left. You never ever see Remainers swipe left. The the centrists and the right of centre, the populists, would just seem to be more accepting of people that disagree with us than the left. The people
yeah,
are
yeah,
like
that's
fucking,
absolutely true. And
they're
that
like
shows you the
fucking
difference.
children, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. It shows you the difference in mentality and the broadness of our scope and taking in more opinions and willing to face pushback because we know that our message has truth and righteousness in it and we can fight, you know, to the death if need be. But we're not going to do those petty things, right? And I think that's why most stayed silent and didn't openly voice support. But when it came to the polling, they went in and they voted with their heart, you know. And that's always played out. I grew up in America. I was there 30 years, and now I've been here going on 30 years. Um,
Yeah.
and I've always considered myself a patriot and an American first and foremost, and always will. So I really appreciate that you did this, Kenny, because it's kind of it's a big ask on your part being in, you know, the UK. And I know that you guys face a lot of censorship and
Thank you, Frank. One of my big
criticism for what
selling
you're doing.
points, one of my big selling points on this show is that Chickpea is banned. She's not going to use my show as her little therapy couch session, which is going to vent her misery. LA is also banned. Fatima is banned. I'm not going to have any toxicity on this show bringing it down. We're here for real chat. But you don't have to agree with me to come on, you know. There's two subjects that I want banned from this show. That's veganism and antinatalism as well. So yeah,
Nice, nice.
you've
Yeah,
got
to
Find the
cut.
Gnosis and Jack Talcott's show to talk about that shit. No veganism and no antinatalism on this show. That's a
Well,
promise.
we all get knocked down in life, but the key is getting back up and continuing the good fight. And I recognize that. I saw you on Jack Talcott's a few times, and I recognize that from the jump that you know you were willing to face the challenge. And many aren't there because you have to kind of walk on eggshells, and especially around certain topics. And yeah, that can be challenging. But yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to open up the platform for us, and I'm glad that I was able to come over and celebrate Freedom 250 with you. I do have a channel of my own. I give a quick plug to that. I've got a little over 1,000 subs now. I don't
Sure.
usually go live very often because I'm working like 50, 60 hours a week at the academy. But I do like to live stream from time to time. Um, and yeah, I like to participate in other people's live streams when I'm able. So thank you for
That's
your time,
great.
Kenny.
So
And
what
yeah,
is your YouTube channel then, Frank?
it's just Frank Monday. Yeah, it's easy to
Just
find.
Frank Monday. Okay, so
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
listening, subscribe to Frank Monday's YouTube channel, right? I'll do
Thank you
that,
for
Frank.
that. Appreciate that. And many of
Thanks,
the folks
thanks
here are
very
are
much for coming on. But what you were
yeah.
saying there, when I was on the Jack Talcott show, it reminds me of a quote by Shakespeare. This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the day, the night, the day. Thou canst not be false to any man. There we are. Always be true to yourself. Thank you very much, Frank. Happy
Yeah, yeah. It's
250th, happy 4th of July, and hope to see you again soon.
okay. Thank you, Kenny.
Good
Have a
night,
great day,
brother.
man. And
You
thank you
too.
too. Blessings.
See ya. Okay, so that marks the end of my first show, live show, the Kenny Given Show. A very special thank you to Mike Graham for coming on. I never thought he would, but it was really nice of him. Mike Graham is a big name in the journalist and broadcasting profession. Some of you might know or have heard of him. So I was really surprised by that. And I started off listening to Mike's show, The Independent Republic of Mike Graham, when it first started off in Edinburgh, actually, where he used to work. Used to be on after a guy called Scotty McClue, who was absolutely hilarious and used to really take the piss out of his listeners that disagreed with him and was just so funny. And yeah, that was very nice of Mike to come on. And thank you, Frank, also for coming on. That's it, folks. Happy 250th birthday to the United States of America. Happy 4th of July. And good night. See you all again soon. Subscribe to the Kenny Given Show. Cheers. Now, how do I end this? Here we are.